Hi, I'm Nathan and welcome to Ninja Monkey, the place for all things related to Japan. I give travel tips, insights, create fun related videos, and I'm currently focusing on what's going on behind Japan's closed doors. So if you're a potential tourist, student, business person, or any other type of traveler, you've come to the right place. So join Team Ninja Monkey if you haven't already, and make sure that the bell notifications are on so that you don't miss any future videos. My aim is to put all the readily available information into one easy to follow video. I do the research so that you don't have to. And as always, all links are included in the video description so that you can do your own reading if you wish to. Timestamps are also available for you too. In this week's video, we will be looking at case numbers in Tokyo and Japan. I'll continue to give you an easy to follow recap on how the vaccination program is progressing, look at some Olympic related news, including a hotel that's come under fire for posting some rather interesting signs. I'll also look at how this pandemic is affecting, or at least delaying, some event-led tourism, introduce you to Tokyo's latest tourist attraction, and answer some viewer comments too. So let's get started. Firstly, I have a brief overview of the COVID situation in Japan. Now focusing on Tokyo. This is for you to have a good idea of how things are progressing in this area. Amidst cases hitting a 6-month high in Tokyo, with only 1 week to go before the Olympics officially start, over 8,000 international passengers since the start of July have been screened, with 3 of them testing positive and immediately isolated. Tokyo reported 1,149 cases on Wednesday, its highest daily number since January the 22nd. That is out of a total of 3,172 cases reported nationwide, out of 64,174 PCR tests done on the same day. As you probably know, I am a firm believer that vaccination is potentially a way out of the situation. Therefore, keeping an eye on the situation in Japan and immunity will help guide anyone wishing to make any informed decision in the future. So let's have a look at how Japan's vaccine drive has been doing this week. As of the 15th of July, there have now been a total of 65,180,178 vaccinations administered. To better understand this figure, I will break down this figure even further. 40,156,708 make up people who have only had 1 dose, and 25,023,470 make up those who have received both jabs and would therefore be fully inoculated. Therefore, out of the population of around 126 million people, 31.6% have now received 1 dose of the vaccine, and 19.7% are fully inoculated with both doses. It is obvious that the vaccination drive continues to hold steady and increasing, with some days seeing nearly 1.5 million doses being administered, even though there have been some hiccups, such as a shortage of doses, with even some cancellations happening. The vaccine rollout is proceeding at such a fast pace that some municipalities have been forced to stop accepting new inoculation appointments or just cancel them. We're terribly sorry for the situation, Taro Kono, minister in charge of Japan's vaccine rollout, told reporters. Have any of my viewers been affected by this? Some of my Japanese friends have had their first dose, but their second dose cancelled, with no information of when it will become available to them. Even though the vaccine drive is holding steady, it's difficult not to imagine how much better things could be had there not been any of these issues. It is currently impossible to get away from the topic of the Olympics, and as athletes settle into the Olympic Village and the opening ceremony is so close by, it is not surprising that most Japan or Japan travel related news seems to have an Olympic link. A few updates ago, I mentioned that President Joe Biden would not be attending the opening ceremony and that there was a possibility that the First Lady would attend in his place. Since then, the First Lady, Jill Biden, has been confirmed as an attendee. This will actually be the First Lady's first international solo trip since her husband became the president, showing continued support for the Olympics from the White House. The president supports the Tokyo Olympic Games and the public health measures necessary to protect athletes, staff, and spectators. He has pride in the US athletes who have trained for Tokyo Games and will be competing in the best traditions of the Olympic spirit. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said last week amid news that Japan declared a state of emergency in Tokyo ahead of the Games. Also related to the Olympics, a Tokyo hotel has had to apologize and has removed signs that originally said Japanese only and foreigners only at elevator entries. Akasaka Excel Hotel Tokyo put up the signs on Friday in response to guidance from Tokyo 2020 organizers to ensure the movement of guests related to the games were separate from others staying in the hotel, a hotel official told Reuters on Monday. "We tried to make it easy to understand, but ended up causing misunderstanding," the official said. He said the signs were removed on Sunday morning and the hotel was now discussing with its headquarters what expression to use instead. How do you feel about this, team? This is something that I'm really interested in knowing your thoughts on. Do you think the signs were offensive or a simple misunderstanding? What other wording would you suggest if you feel it needs to be changed? I was thinking that an elevator sign simply saying Olympic participants would probably do the trick. I do, however, worry about the future of tourism in the short term anyway. Once tourists are allowed into Japan, do you think we will see similar signs? Have Japanese people become less trustful of foreigners? Will tourists be treated differently than before the pandemic? This is certainly something that I am going to keep an eye on once tourism does open up. And the last Olympic related story is about the Olympic Committee president making an unfortunate mistake of referring to the people of Japan as Chinese. In part of a statement where he tries to reassure the public regarding the games being safe, he finishes off by saying, "For everybody, for the athletes, for the delegations, and most importantly also for the Japanese people." The mistake was not repeated by English to Japanese interpreters at the meeting, but reporters by Japanese media triggered a backlash on social media anyway. So, this next story is one that's close to my heart. Pokemon Go has postponed the release of the new special edition costumed Pikachu, which was originally meant to be released in Okinawa on July the 22nd, citing recent developments. A Pikachu wearing a Kariushi shirt typical of Okinawa was designed as part of a Pokemon Air Adventures, a new promotion meant to boost tourism and air travel to the Okinawa Islands, which included a freshly designed plane with a Pokemon design. It is unclear if the rest of the promotion will go ahead or when it might be rescheduled for. Okay, so perhaps this story is not for everyone, but it does highlight the changing landscape of travel and how event tourism is being affected, sometimes with cancellations very close to the actual event. Pokemon Go tourism is something that I am personally interested in, and I hope that this is resolved so that I can finally make my way to Okinawa once Japan opens up for everyone. Any other Pokemon fans in Team Ninja Monkey? I'd love to know. And for today's final story in what could become a new tourist attraction once borders open, a giant 3D cat is being displayed on a billboard in the area of Shinjuku. The giant 3D cat sleeps, meows and looks down upon the crowds beneath its paws. Already attracting fans, I do hope that this fixture will be available in the long term so that we can all go and see it firsthand. Thanks so much for watching this far and staying tuned. Every week I like to answer or highlight a comment, so if you have something you'd like me to answer or just my opinion on, then start sending in the questions and I might select yours to feature. Viewer Only One Night says, "From what I understand, tourism travel accounted for 7.5% of Japan's GDP in 2019. How much of an impact do you believe this has on the economy while the borders are closed?" I actually answered that question in the comments, but I think it's worth highlighting and expanding on. This was my response. Some industries and shops have been able to adapt, and even then I imagine things are tight. I think the biggest issue will be those who invested in the Olympics with no return, many of which were probably hoping to make something with domestic spectators, but even now that isn't happening. I think that in the short term, and I do think that we are still in the short term, not a huge impact, but eventually the country will start to feel it. I wanted to add a few things though. People are certainly out of work or have had to change careers as a result of the lack of tourists. For example, I have a Japanese friend of mine who runs a tourist-based business in Tokyo and has had to close her business and is now teaching English at a middle school. I have also read reports of how the landscape of places like Harajuku and Ikebukuro are changing. Storefronts that used to entice tourists are now gone. I think that in terms of the economy, Japan will be able to take a hit. My worry, however, is how it's affecting the people, especially in the hospitality industry and other tourist industries. I do think that Japan will quickly bounce back. However, it will be interesting to see if the feel of some tourist locations will be able to survive. So anyway, thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. If you've watched this far, then hopefully it means that you've liked the video. So please support me by liking the video, as it tells YouTube that you're interested in this type of content. As always, let's get a conversation started in the comment section. I do try to respond to as many as I can, and I'd love to know your thoughts. Till next time, arigatou gozaimasu, gracias, thanks, bye.